Today we are going to find out the results from my no-dig potato bed experiment. Just as a refresher, I am gardening in Zone 6A in Ohio on very heavy clay soil. And early this spring, I decided that I wanted to give a no-dig potato bed a try. Be sure to check out the link above to see the original video where I put in this potato bed. Now, I did have some concerns about how well this is going to work for me here. And the main one being that my native soil is very heavy clay. So I was a bit concerned that by just piling all of this stuff on top of really hard, impenetrable clay soil, I was not going to have great results with the potatoes. But we will find out today. You're finding out the same time as I am, because despite the temptation, I have not dug any potatoes out of here yet. I had 2 varieties planted on March 9th, and today is July 21st, and all of my foliage is starting to die back. So I'm gonna go ahead and dig some potatoes. Now, potatoes can be dug anytime after they start flowering, but to give them the most time to size up and increase your yields, I generally look for all of the green foliage to start dying back before I dig. Now, this first variety I'm digging is a variety called Golden Globe. We got some potatoes down there. And you can always save these teeny tiny guys and replant them if your season is long enough and you have enough time for a second crop of potatoes. And then I generally just throw all of these tops in my compost pile. And to make this process a little easier, I'm gonna set some of this grass mulch over to the side. I'll throw it back on top when I'm all done digging. Kind of helps me see what I'm doing a little better. But part of the appeal of this system for me, anyway, not that I'm opposed to digging, I like my traditional method of growing potatoes, but my thought was by piling, oh look, you don't want to do that. Don't stab your taters. Was that by adding all this nice organic matter, so I've got compost in there, hay, straw, grass clippings, leaf mulch. I was basically giving myself a nice jump start on a new garden bed here, even if my potatoes didn't turn out so well. As you can see here, I had a little bit of sun exposure, which you don't want, but that guy's already sprouting, so I'll just replant him. We got some decent sized ones in there. What I'm curious about is if any of these potatoes actually, does not look that way. They didn't actually go down into the clay dirt at all. They're all setting right there on top of the surface, which, true to the name no dig, means I don't have to dig to harvest them either. Now, one thing I would definitely change if I were to do this again is the dimensions of this bed. I would probably do half this width because it was very difficult to reach into the center of this bed and add extra hay and grass and mulch as these things grew without actually stepping into the bed. So I probably wouldn't do any wider than like a 3-foot strip. So there's half my bed. This is all of the Golden Globes that I dug up. And the second half of the bed is an heirloom variety called German Butterball. Now this one overall looks to be a bit later than Golden Globe, and the plants are a lot more indeterminate. So really, if I wanted to, I could leave these in the ground longer, but I'm ready to get these out of here and get this bed prepped for fall. So we're gonna go ahead and dig them. And one thing I did want to mention, because in the first video you saw how I prepped the whole bed, what you didn't see was kind of the intermediate care. I basically didn't do anything to these all season other than layer them with more hay, grass clippings, leaf mulch, basically to keep these plants hilled up. So I went in, I think, twice and added more hay and grass and leaf mulch, but that was it. These did not get watered. These did not get fed other than the compost and food I used at planting time. So they were pretty much left to fend for themselves. And there is the full yield for the second variety. This is German Butterball. As I mentioned, it's an old heirloom variety. And you can see the size on these. I have a lot of little smaller spuds still. There's a few decent ones, but the size on the other variety was a little better. Like I said, had I given this a little more time, these might have sized up more, but I was ready to get them out of the garden. Now, one of the other concerns I had going into this was vole damage. So I did a small section of no dig last year where I just threw some purple Viking potatoes on top of an unplanted bed in my garden and just covered that with straw. And it had decent yields on that, but I did have a lot of vole chewing damage on the spuds. So I was kind of assuming they would get in here and do the same thing, but I'm not seeing any damage on these spuds at all. So I'm pleasantly surprised by that. So here is the total yield from this no dig plot, which by the way is 7 feet by 12 feet. I don't have my scale anymore, otherwise I would weigh these for you. I'm guessing a good 30 pounds, but I'm really bad at guesstimating weights. But overall, not a bad yield. And I'm left with a bed that's basically prepped and ready to go for fall planting. So I'm gonna chalk that up as a win. And be sure to subscribe to catch more gardening tips, tricks, and experiments like this one on the Growfully with Jenna YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.